Sorry, just trying to adjust the microphone there. Hopefully that's a bit better for you. What I'm doing is I'm holding, there's a trigonometry point or a viewpoint here that tells you where everywhere is and what's in each of the directions. And I'm just stood with the microphone behind that. Let's see if we can make out some of these places. Look, Gloucester, 11 miles. So let's do a panorama, and what I'll do is I'll read off all of the places as we go round. So facing this way, it's got Gloucester 11 miles away, and then that's the Northern Hills that you can see in the distance. The little village of Froster. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then Mayhill, which is around 14 miles away, just in the horizon there. We've got Newnham on Severn, which is just the other side of the River Severn, about 10 miles away. The Forest of Dean. If you haven't seen my videos on the Forest of Dean, please check them out. Just on the horizon there. We have the Black Mountains 40 miles away. I think that's being optimistic today. But on a clear day, I'm sure you can see the Black Mountains from here and the Brecon Beacons. It's got the Severn Railway Bridge on here, so I think that dates it. I think that fell down in the 1960s. So the Severn Railway Bridge is on here. The River Severn, which is 9 miles away. Berkeley Power Station, Chepstow 17 miles, again that's in Wales as well, just in that direction. Beachley Point 16.5 miles away, and then if we come round here, got the Tyndale Monument, which you might just about be able to make out on the horizon, and the Uli Tumulus, half a mile away. Not sure I can see that, but I'm absolutely certain it's there. Anyway, as well as the view, we're here to talk about what the Cotswold Escarpment is. So, we talked about glaciation, and you can see, oh look, there's actually some rock exposed over there. Look, you can see this road that you might just about to be able to make out in the bottom of the picture runs right the way along, or runs right down the escarpment and then along the bottom of it. It's Froster Hill. And you can just about see some rock cropping out through the trees there. And the Cotswold Escarpment is an escarpment. It's a cut into the hillside made by the glaciers during the last ice age. The geology here, if I explain the geology, it might make a bit more sense. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to, we've seen that area pretty much. We're going to go back up past the gate and see if we can stand behind some of these trees to give us a bit more shelter while I tell you the story. It's probably it's worthy of note, these sort of landforms that you get here on the top of the Cotswold Escarpment as well. Can you see these sort of hummocky landforms? They're a clue as to the geology too. So, let's I'll put the camera on me while I walk up the stairs, just in case I fall over, and I'm sure you'd want to see that. So, how did this form? Right. Let's explain the sequence of the geology. So what we've got here is a really hard limestone at the top. If you look, I'll turn you back round, the ground here is completely flat. And if you look this way, look, you can see there's a tiny hill here, just coming into the shot there, look. Can you see? Looks like Table Mountain from South Africa, but in miniature. And it's flat on the top. And can you see how that hill is the same elevation as the escarpment to that side and to that side? That's not by accident. So, we've got a very hard limestone just under our feet here. And that's what's giving rise to the hummocky landforms that we've seen. Oh, we'll zoom out of that. That's what's giving rise to the hummocky landforms that we've seen. And that limestone will resist erosion because it's so hard. And it would have taken an awful lot to break through that. But the glaciers are a tremendous force for erosion, and they did break through it. But underneath it, we've obviously got softer material, because that's all been eroded away. So underneath the limestone, the ground transitions into the Bridport Sandstone Formation. Although it's called a sandstone, it is predominantly a sand. And effectively, it's like beach sand. So once the glaciers had broken through the hard cap of the limestone, you can imagine that the sand would be eroded extremely quickly. And once you go through that, I think there's another layer of limestone, and then you eventually get into mudstones. And at the bottom of the hill are mudstones. I believe it's the Lias Formation and the Charmouth Mudstone Formation here, and they form the bottom of the valley. And again, they erode fairly easily as well, because they are clays effectively and weak mudstones. And so what you've got is this great capping layer of limestone here that is protecting the softer soils below. And when the glaciers erode through the hard limestone, there's nothing else to protect the softer material below, and so it just erodes away extremely quickly. And this would have given you a lot of sediment, perhaps for the Somerset levels and out along the Bristol Channel. This sediment would have just washed out as the glaciers retreated down into the Bristol Channel, and probably forms, some of it's probably still there as beach deposits and the like nowadays. I think it's interesting here that the Cotswold Escarpment, as well as being this fantastic glacial feature, is also a slice through time. So the rocks at the top of the escarpment here are around 170 million years old, but the rocks at the bottom are around sort of 210 million years old. So you've got, potentially 40 million years worth of time locked up in the sediments here. It's also interesting to think about how the UK location has changed in that time as well. For example, limestones, they only really occur in shallow, warm environments, shallow, warm seas. So you're looking at perhaps coral reefs, you're looking at maybe subtropical environments. And then you transition down through the sandstone. Sandstones, they occur sometimes in desert conditions and sometimes in seas. I don't know whether the Bridport sandstone was desert or whether it was sea. I shall find out and put something at the bottom of the video for you. But it's one of those two environments. And if it was a sea environment, it would have been very close to the shore. It would have been material from the shore, like you get with the beach today. And then we move down into the mudstones. And the Lias Formation is effectively, that's a deep sea rock. So the mudstones there form over millions and millions of years at the bottom of the ocean as debris falls down, organic material falls to the bottom of the ocean. And you might find fossils down there as well. The Charmouth Mudstone Formation obviously contains quite a lot of ammonites and other fossils from the bottom of the ocean. So, you know, we've transitioned here from a shallow marine environment to a deep marine environment. I just find that interesting, how the UK has changed in all of that time. And what you've got here is effectively a slice through the geological record, and that slice was made by a glacier. And you can see there's exactly the same type of escarpment on the other side of the river. The rocks being slightly older on that side of the river, but you know, effectively they would have continued right the way across at one time. And the sequence is just the rocks get older as you go into Wales. But you've got limestone the other side of the river with mudstones below. So, you know, effectively you've got the same geological record there. The glaciers would have come through and torn a channel right the way through the middle of it. And if you've seen my video about Breen Down, you can see that was a continuation of the Mendip Hills that went right the way across the River Severn. Well, these rocks would have carried on right the way across the River Severn at one time as well, before the glaciation. So if you went back 100,000 years, 150,000 years, this valley, well, it may have been here, but it wouldn't have been here looking like this. The river wouldn't have looked like this. This is a post-glacial environment, and this landscape would have looked vastly different, even as little as sort of 50,000 years ago. What I'll do is I'll see if we can get some other views from the Cotswold Escarpment, and I'm here for a few days, so we'll see if we can get some nice sunny views at some stage as well. But that's it from Coaley Point. I hope that helps to some extent. You understand what the Cotswold Escarpment is. I find it fascinating as a geologist to look through a slice of the geological record. It's rare that you get such a clean slice as this, and where you do, it's quite amazing to see that sort of slice through history, 40 million years in this case. Yeah, I find it fascinating. So we've had a look at the Cotswold Escarpment, we've had a look at some of the amazing views that you get from up here. We've had a look at that, do you remember that little island of rock that was cropping out there as well? We've had a look at the viewpoint, all the places that you can see from up here, and we've given a little bit of explanation as to what's going on, so that you're not left completely clueless. Hopefully that's helped you a bit. Hopefully you'll want to come here and see it for yourself, and hopefully if you do, the weather is a bit better than it has been for me today. Yeah, I said off this morning it was thick fog, but the wind has come along now and blown all the fog away, but it's extremely windy as a result. So have a great day wherever you are. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will leave you with one parting shot of the Cotswold Escarpment from Coaley Peak. Stay safe, folks. Have a great day.